Valley, how they're remembering him tonight.
It's going to be another chilly one Friday morning with widespread freezing temperatures, but I'm tracking a nice warm-up for the weekend with sunshine.
And a new WSU study reveals new details on why endometriosis pain may linger even after treatment. Everything we know tonight. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the night report here on KREM 2 News. I'm Sydney Schofield. Tonight, the community gathered for a vigil for a Lewis and Clark High School student who was shot and killed last week in Spokane Valley. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy shares how those there tonight want him to be remembered. Connor?
Yeah, more than 100 people gathered at the intersection of 16th and Union in Spokane Valley to remember the life of 17-year-old Lewis and Clark High School student Carter Cochran. Carter was shot and killed last week at that intersection. The sheriff's office says on April 8th he was in crisis and making statements of self-harm. He walked into the road and got in front of a car. A confrontation between Carter and the driver of that car escalated, and the driver eventually shot Carter. The driver is not facing charges. His family and friends decided to have a memorial for him to honor his life. Kim Carroll, his grandmother, reminisced about Carter playing football and competing on the track and field team at Lewis and Clark High School. They describe him as tender-hearted with his whole life ahead of him. Just 2 years ago, his mom died of leukemia and said, despite losing his mom, many say Carter was often happy and full of life. While family and friends did not want to go on camera, we spoke with some of his family who say he was a kind person who deserves to be remembered fondly. Now, there is a GoFundMe made available for people to donate to Carter's family during this difficult time. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
Connor, thank you. It's time to talk weather now with meteorologist Michelle Boss. Michelle, we're under that weather impact alert for some pretty cold temperatures.
Yeah, so we saw those freezing and sub-freezing temperatures this morning, and I think we're going to see very similar conditions tomorrow. So our weather impact alert will continue just for a very chilly start to your Friday. We do have freeze warnings that were reissued for portions of central Washington as temperatures expected again in the upper 20s and lower 30s. And this is where we are right now. 43. We're a little bit warmer than we were at this time yesterday, but just kind of looking to our north, Deer Park already below freezing, Sandpoint right at freezing, in the 30s in St. Mary's and Wallace. Temperatures in the 40s right now at Ritzville and Moses Lake, but we do have clear skies. They have a little bit of a breeze out there right now in Moses Lake and Ritzville, and here in Spokane. That's holding temperatures up just a little bit, but those winds are expected to settle down overnight, and I think we'll see those temperatures drop a little bit more rapidly over the next several hours. So the freeze warning remains in effect through early tomorrow morning. I don't think it will be reissued for Saturday, even though I think in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene we'll probably see another day Saturday morning with temperatures close to freezing. Satellite and radar showing dry weather across the region, and we're looking for more sunshine tomorrow than what we saw today. Temperatures should warm up into the 50s tomorrow, but look where we are headed. Lower 60s on Saturday, on our way to 70 by Sunday.
A judge sentenced a Spokane man who lit another man on fire to 16 years in prison. Today, a Spokane County Superior Court judge told Dupree Meadows he'll serve 195 months in prison after a jury found him guilty of first-degree assault last month. Court documents and trial testimony show Meadows walked up to a man in downtown Spokane, doused him with gasoline, and lit him on fire. Meadows was also sentenced to 36 months of community custody and ordered not to have contact with the victim for life. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office says a Spokane Valley man allegedly caused about $2,000 in damage while stealing about $25 worth of gas. The Sheriff's Office says earlier this month they got a report from a business near Hutchinson Road in Indiana that someone drilled into their vehicle's gas tanks to steal gas. Police then arrested a 36-year-old man and booked him into the Spokane County Jail. During his first appearance yesterday, the Spokane County Superior Court Commissioner released him on his own recognizance. A new Washington law that establishes certain criteria like a mandatory background check and experience requirements to become a sheriff or police chief is getting pushed back by the very people it applies to. Today in court, 4 Eastern Washington sheriffs from Spokane, Pend Oreille, Stevens, and Ferry counties all argued against the new state law. KREM 2's Christian Garza breaks down what happened today in court.
Today, 3 motions were heard before the court regarding this suit. The first motion made by the plaintiffs was to shorten time, essentially compressing that legal timeline to make sure a decision would be made as soon as possible. The second motion was made by the state to move this suit entirely to Thurston County, where a similar suit filed by the Washington State Sheriff's Association challenging the law is being heard. This motion was to avoid multiple rulings in multiple counties across the state. And the third motion was made by the plaintiffs to enact an emergency injunction for these 4 sheriffs when it comes to being asked to follow this newly signed law when it goes into effect at the end of the month. The judge granted motions 1 and 2 to shorten the time and move the suit to Thurston County, but denied the motion for the reasoning behind the emergency injunction, since the case in its entirety will be heard in Thurston County. Judge Adam Wessler from Lincoln County said while he understands the sheriff's request for the injunction, his hands are procedurally tied.
I'm not here to decide whether it's a good policy decision. I'm not here to make my decisions on the basis of whether I believe it is or is not a good policy decision. I don't enter into that. I look at the procedure that needs to be followed, and really in this instance, whether this is such an emergent event that I have to decide it today. And I don't believe that that is the case.
There isn't a set court date at this time for this suit specifically, but a court date for the suit between the WSSA and the state is set for May 1st. In Newport, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
A new study from Washington State University is shedding new light on why endometriosis causes long-lasting pain. Endometriosis affects about 1 in 10 women of reproductive age and happens when tissue similar to the uterine lining grows outside the uterus. Symptoms can include severe menstrual pain, heavy bleeding, and chronic pelvic pain. And right now, there's no treatment. WSU researchers found that repeated inflammation from the disease can cause the nervous system to become more sensitive, essentially training the brain to amplify pain signals over time. The study shows that even after lesions are removed, the brain may continue generating pain due to this heightened sensitivity. Researchers say this could shift treatment toward targeting the nervous system, not just the physical symptoms of the disease.
This law would restore us to the standard we had in Idaho before the ban upended everything.
The Reproductive Freedom and Privacy Act is getting close to being on the Idaho ballot this year. The organization Idahoans United for Women and Families collected almost 100,000 signatures. This act would increase reproductive health care in Idaho by adding contraception and fertility care, restoring abortion access, protecting patient privacy, and protecting doctors from legal punishments. Campaign leaders say in-state volunteers and donors fueled this campaign to restore rights. They say the response crossed political and geographical lines.
We are seeking to help people understand that at the end of the day, no matter how we may all personally feel about reproductive rights, we can all broadly agree that the government has no place in making the tough decisions and the hard calls for us and our families.
Organizers say they're on track to meet the threshold they need to qualify for the November ballot. Signing events are happening statewide this week with a final push before the April 30th petition deadline. Kootenai County Magistrate Judge Robert Caldwell has died. Before becoming a judge, he worked as an attorney for more than 10 years across North Idaho. He went on to serve as a magistrate judge in Coeur d'Alene for 17 years. In a press release from the Idaho Judicial Branch, his peers remember him as a professional with strong beliefs in the rule of law, as well as showing empathy for people who appeared in his courtroom, and someone who continually sought to improve Idaho's court system. He was set to retire this coming January at the end of his term. Judge Caldwell was 59 years old. To national news tonight, acting ICE Director Todd Lyons announced he will step down at the end of May. That's according to Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin. Lyons helped oversee the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and mass deportation efforts. Mullin praised Lyons as a key leader, but did not give a reason for his departure. It's also unclear right now who will replace him, as ICE has not had a Senate-confirmed director in years. The announcement comes as the agency faces questions from lawmakers over detention conditions and deaths in custody. Tonight, authorities arrested singer David in connection to the murder of a teen whose decomposing body was found in the trunk of a Tesla. Los Angeles police say the 21-year-old singer, whose real name is David Burke, is being held tonight without bail. The body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found in September of last year following reports of a foul odor coming from the impounded Tesla. The vehicle, registered to Burke, was found abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. Hernandez was 13 years old when she'd been reported missing in April of 2024. Police say investigators will present the case to the district attorney's office to decide whether to press charges. Stay with us. We still have much more to cover here tonight on the Night Report. Rising gas prices are forcing Spokane to pause rescue trips, raising concerns about how many animals may be left without help.
This is what we need to be doing, is taking care of our seniors and making their life hopefully a little bit easier, give them a little bit of joy.
But first, new technology provided by a nonprofit is helping a local Vietnam veteran find new relief and everyday ease. We spoke with him about how his life has changed and how he is now managing the challenges of his condition. We'll be right back.